welcome to Council Action. I'm Russell Inman, and joining us tonight from Ward 5 is Councilman Keith Schildroth. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great, Russ.
We had a fairly easy agenda, I'd say, for the council meeting. We'll start off by just mentioning, hearing from citizens. We had a couple folks come up. Some of the discussions tonight were on the Walmart store that's gone in and just some of the property that surrounds it. And we've had some discussion come up about the success at the food truck night and some donations made to teams. So remember that hearing from citizens is a time where you can come and address the council, mention about some of the topics or events that are going on here in Florissant, and let the council know your thoughts. That brought us to public hearings. These are also pretty simple. We have the Phillips 66. Now this is going on Patterson Road. It's really got a lot of renovations going on there. If you've driven by there, you look at the building and it's really almost just a shell of brick walls right now. Yeah, but they're looking to build out.
Yeah, it's come a long way. I remember signing this ordinance back when I was president in 2014, late in the year. They just had to come back to us because they changed their interior plans. They've taken out one of the outdoor restrooms and are moving it back inside the property. So it was just a pretty simple fix with a new floor plan. And I think it's going to be a great addition to that neighborhood. I know Mr. Caputa is really happy about it.
All right, we'll see and look forward to that completion. There was another public hearing for a community development block grant program tonight. And that brought us to second readings. So we had an ordinance for a special use permit for the Viet Thai restaurant. We heard a little bit about this restaurant the last meeting. Looks like it's going to be a combination of a Vietnamese and a Thai restaurant doing a little bit of two different worlds. That passed tonight, no questions.
Yeah, I think Mr. Egan is pretty excited about this because we have a lot of different cuisines in the city, but we don't have a Vietnamese restaurant, and I think it's going to do really well in that location.
And there was an ordinance for a barbecue. One of those restaurants that's becoming more and more popular here in the city of Florissant. This is Boosties Barbecue, burgers and more. They need to be able to operate a smoker at their facility out on the parking lot or near to their entrance.
Right.
And that's what the city is authorized tonight. Are there any restrictions with this?
They have some restrictions, and they're all dedicated by St. Louis County Health Department. That's usually the big hurdle that a barbecue place has with an outdoor smoker. And our hands are kind of out of the equation at that point. St. Louis County comes in and they have to approve the pit and the preparation area and different things like that. So, and they meet like 4 times a year, quarterly, to do inspections for those types of setups. So Mr. McDaniel did get that approval. So this was, Mr. Schmidt originally had some questions, but all his questions were answered.
Okay.
And, I wish Mr. McDaniel luck. There's a Fat Boys is in my ward right there on Graham Road, and they on St. Ferdinand right there at the corner of Washington and St. Ferdinand, and they're doing really well. So they're starting to pop up all over town. Like you said, barbecue is a big
hot trend right now.
It sure is, and I think it's great that Florissant has something to offer to our citizens.
We had next one was an ordinance to authorize an amendment for a special permit for Handyman Hardware, a very well-known household name here in the city of Florissant. They want to update their sign to include a digital sign for that B3 zoning district. That was passed today. No questions.
I think it's going to be a great addition to Lindbergh. It's a long-time business. They have 2 stores in Florissant. I was talking to Mr. Otto up at the store 2 weeks ago, and he's also done some work to the property with some extra lighting on the building itself that didn't need to come before us. And now he's going to focus his efforts on the store on Washington. I think he's going to be doing some things down the road with them. Yeah. And they're a great corporate citizen, and it's really good to have 2 of them in town. I was just there yesterday on the one on Washington at 5:45 to get a propane tank filled up to barbecue. So I use Handyman all the time. They're great
A prime example of a good neighborhood,
they sure
family-owned business.
Yeah, it's a great story.
It's been neat to, over the years, just to watch their building expand,
Sure.
offer more in rental tools and everything.
Yeah, and I think
Really
they have
keeping up.
a third store in South County, so they're doing really well.
We had an ordinance authorizing the repainting of an existing painted masonry store. This is the Advanced Auto on North Highway 67. So their facility needed a paint job. It got that. So things are looking good along Lindbergh.
Right.
Board appointments. There weren't any board appointments tonight. Do you have any spots that you need to fill for your ward?
No, I'm pretty good, except maybe on the Citizens Participation Committee. I could always use some other folks to get on there. They're involved in quite a few projects. So if anybody's interested in joining a board, they can get a hold of me at 839-2927.
Okay, good. Resolutions. There's a resolution, the City of Florissant supporting a grant application for the construction of a Korean War memorial and monument at St. Ferdinand Park. This sounds pretty neat. Tell me a little bit about this grant and how the money's going to be used. What's going to go in?
Well, the mayor was approached by the Korean War veterans. There's a big group of them in town, and they wanted to put a memorial in a monument next to the one we have right now, right at the base of St. Ferdinand when you walk in on field number 1. And the mayor and Mr. Todd Schmidt, our parks director, have been working with this group to try to figure out the right place to do this in the park. And I think they've exchanged some really good ideas and some good dialogue. And now we're in the process of applying for this grant. And I think they've come to they're closer together, and I think they've come to a solution. And I just hope we can get this grant, and it'll be a great addition to our park and a great tribute to our veterans.
What's the general timeline on something like this with a grant application? How long does it take?
Sometimes it takes, several months, usually here right away. But, we've been really good. Mr. Schmidt's been really good at getting different grants for the tennis courts right there on Florissant Road. That was through a grant.
And those turned out great.
They sure did.
Oh, man.
And the restroom at Bangert Park. So we've done really well with our grants, and I hope Mr. Schmidt keeps his great track record up.
Okay. The bill for first reading tonight, that was the Phillips 66 improvement. That had one reading. We had one reading on Taste Buds Catering. This is so they can operate a catering business as well as a restaurant at 1 Malamphy Gardens Shopping Center. There was an ordinance for $35,000 from the General Revenue Fund for election expenses, the purpose of funding an election, November 3rd. We had one reading on an ordinance authorizing a transfer of $12,000 from the salaries Bangert pool to utilities, another $25,000 from salaries Coke to the utilities at Coke. Explain that a little bit. What is the money shifting around for?
We were just short in 2 utility accounts, and there was no extra appropriation. It was just taking money out from one account to balance the other one out.
There's some leftover in the salaries part? Okay. Ordinance, the last one, ordinance amending chapters 100 general penalty schedule of court costs for the City Florissant Code. What is this?
That is just to comply with the recent Senate Bill 5 that the legislature passed, and it'll just put us in line with that bill, actually.
And the city went ahead and passed that with 3 votes tonight.
Yes, sir.
That takes us to council announcements. Tell us a little bit, Keith, about what's going on in your ward, which we expect to see.
Well, Planning and Zoning approved a new commercial property on Graham Road at the old Metro Imaging, and I get confused. I get the dollar stores mixed up. You see, I think everything is a dollar or Dollar General.
Okay.
One of the two. I get them mixed up. But they took that spot where Metro Imaging is, so that's going to be great. It's not a vacant building anymore, and they're in the process of redoing it right now. They put a new roof on, a new sign. They're adding some space to the back of the building for deliveries, and it's going to be a good addition. I'd rather see, a tenant in there than be vacant. So it's going to be a great addition to that corner, and it's got a nice parking lot. So that's going to be really good. I would like to touch real quick, just to go back
Sure.
for 9126
Oh, go
about the election expense. We are having a very important election on November 3rd in the city of Florissant. It's Prop S for streets, and we're asking for a quarter-cent sales tax increase on all retail sales, and that money will be earmarked for street repair and replacement, sidewalk repair and replacement, strictly for that. We have never did a sales tax ballot issue directed strictly at street repair. We have some streets in our city are over 75 years old, and in the next 5 to 15 years, many of our streets need a lot of work and need to be replaced. We currently spend about $2.5 million on this. This would generate another $1.3 million. I think a little bit more. Mr. McDaniel, our financial director, is sometimes a little bit conservative, so I think it's going to generate a little bit more money, and it'll be well-deserved and put to good use. And it's a very important election for the city. It's something the mayor and I have been talking about for a couple of years. And we formed a committee. The mayor put me in charge of it along with Mr. Lee, who's a fantastic numbers guy, former assistant collector for the city of St. Louis County, and Mr. Jeff Caputa, who is a cement mason by trade, so he definitely knows concrete. And I think it's a great team, and we went to the administration, asked a lot of pertinent questions, got a lot of good answers, and came up with the quarter-cent sales tax for the ballot for November 3rd, and people will be getting some mail on it from the city. They'll also be getting a piece of literature from a yes campaign vote. We're in the process. We've formed that committee, and members of the council have all made financial contribution to fund this mailing. So we're very positive. Took off election day to work the polls that day. I don't think there's going to be anything else on the ballot. No school board issues, nothing else. And it's very important, and I can't urge the people of the city of Florissant to really get behind this. I mean, this is a very important thing.
Is this a tax that has an end date, or is it?
No, it does not have an end date.
Okay.
Because we have some catching up to do with our streets. Mr. Caputa gave us and Mr. Gerald's and Mr. Mr. Gary Meyer, our street director, gave us the pluses and the minuses of concrete compared to asphalt. And because of our climate, our soil composition, asphalt is great for several reasons, and concrete is good for other reasons. However, concrete is really expensive, and we've had better luck with asphalt, actually. And because it doesn't crack as easily as concrete, no crack, and then you have to seal those cracks. So we're looking to do quite a few streets and do some repair. And like I said, the folks will be getting more information on it in the coming weeks.
And that's election on November 3rd?
Yes, sir.
Well, I know in council announcements tonight, it was also mentioned we've got a race to the shrine coming up.
Right, that's the weekend of the Fall Festival. Sure is. Mr. Egan is involved with that.
And we're constantly asking for donations to team for the food pantry.
Yeah, that's another great asset of our city. We have a really good food pantry down in Old Town.
Mayor mentioned the Walmart's grand opening happened a couple weeks ago. It was successful there, and I think the last thing, if I remember right, was a horseshoe tournament coming up.
Right, it's at Bangor Park in Ward 5.
Good. Well, lots of things still going on. Summer's sort of over, but we've got a lot of things happening in the fall here for the city of Florissant. Keith, thank you for your time. Thanks for going through the agenda. Appreciate that. Appreciate your contribution to the city council and what you're doing for this vote to help improve the streets for the city of Florissant.
Thank you, sir.
And thank you for watching. I'm Russell Inman. This has been Council Action. We'll see you next time.